It is time to roar around the ring as we get ready for the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia this weekend. I'm Justin Valentine. That dude, Daryl Taylor, not here this month. The winter weather that this country is dealing with right now, unfortunately, getting the best of us when it comes to that. He'll be back in February ahead of the Elimination Chamber. But again, we are ready for the Royal Rumble this weekend, and it feels like a lot of the hype that we normally feel around the Royal Rumble not there. There's a lot of things that are a little different. Of course, Saudi Arabia is the biggest difference. 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the East Coast, 11 a.m. on the West Coast for a Royal Rumble is going to be very strange. But either way, it's still a Royal Rumble, and surprises are expected, even though ESPN is out there trying to potentially spoil a Seth Rollins surprise, or maybe not. We'll see. But let's start with the Royal Rumble and the Royal Rumble matches. The men's side of things, we saw Roman Reigns has declared as of yesterday, Brock Lesnar calling into the Pat McAfee show. He's in. We have Cody Rhodes in. Jacob Fatu. That's the biggest story after what happened at Saturday night's main event. And when it comes to both Royal Rumble matches, I have a prediction for who I think is going to win based off who I know is in there. But I also have a backup in terms of a potential return winning the entire thing for both the men's and the women's. And when it comes to the men's Royal Rumble match, for who I know is in it, I know a lot of people just assume and are going with Roman Reigns to give us Roman Reigns and CM Punk. I think the Royal Rumble this year on the men's side is for Drew McIntyre. I think it's to determine who he will face at WrestleMania. I think when it comes to the world title and CM Punk, you can go the Elimination Chamber with that. And a lot of what's going on with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns and potentially whoever else gets involved will kind of play out who CM Punk faces. And of course, if Seth Rollins comes back, he's obviously an option for Punk come WrestleMania. But if I'm going with who's Drew McIntyre going to face at WrestleMania, I think Jacob Fatu is a solid choice to win this year's Royal Rumble match. He just came back from injury. We know how big of a push he felt like he was getting before the injury. Fans are behind him, and they are constantly teasing this Jacob Fatu Drew McIntyre match that we still haven't gotten who took him out from injury, right? He's in a feud with Cody Rhodes, who of course has been the face of the company. And Triple H proved last year at Royal Rumble for WrestleMania that he's not afraid to give it to more of an up-and-coming guy. Now, no, not everyone loved the Jey Uso pick last year, but at least proved that he is willing to give it to somebody that hasn't necessarily been at the top when it comes to a WrestleMania main event just yet. We're not just going to give it to the big names of Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes every year. And I would love to see the Royal Rumble go the Jey Uso route, but better. I think Jacob Fatu obviously is a much better option than Jey Uso was last year. Now, I said that's based off who I know is in the match, and there's a pick I have if they are in the match. And on the men's side, for me, that's Obafemi. If Obafemi shows up at the Royal Rumble, we have seen the packages leading up on Raw and SmackDown. He, of course, got rid of his NXT title. He's done with NXT, so he's clearly on his way to the main roster. But Obafemi is a guy, and he proved this already in the match with Cody Rhodes. He's already had a face-off with Drew McIntyre that they have not revisited. So that is an easy route to an Obafemi Drew McIntyre match at WrestleMania. And he is that big of a star that I would be more than okay with him being the first NXT call-up to show up at the Royal Rumble and instantly win it, instantly be involved in the world title picture, and instantly be in a WrestleMania main event. On the women's side of things, again, same situation based off who I know, but I also have a pick in terms of who could potentially show up. On the women's side, I'm going with Rhea Ripley. And I know that feels like the more obvious answer. That feels like a Roman Reigns answer or a Brock Lesnar answer because it's the big star of the women's division. But there's a match that we haven't seen yet when it comes to the world title that you can give us. And Rhea Ripley and Stephanie Vaquer at WrestleMania is a WrestleMania-worthy world title match. And Rhea Ripley, of course, is Rhea Ripley. And there's no other, based on who's currently there right now, healthy, there's no other WrestleMania-worthy women's title match that can come out of the Royal Rumble, but that's where my return comes in. A returning Bianca Belair would win the Royal Rumble to me. And again, another big name, but she's at least coming back from injury. It would be a surprise. But that story makes sense too, because babyface Bianca Belair would come back, and now we have a heel Jade Cargill. We know the long history there. They have not fully embraced that story when it comes to the Naomi attack and everything that happened with that. And of course, Naomi's out of the picture. And we kind of told that story with Jade and Naomi, and then Bianca and Naomi a little bit. But Bianca and Jade, they've never really crossed paths and addressed how each of them feel about that situation. And now Jade is a world champion and a badass heel world champion on SmackDown, and Bianca Belair coming back to win the Royal Rumble and then go on to face Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. That's a WrestleMania match that people have been wanting to see since Jade Cargill has been in WWE. If Bianca Belair is coming back at the Royal Rumble, that is a solid route to go for WrestleMania in Vegas. When it comes to the world title match at the Royal Rumble, though, it was Sami Zayn who won it. Saturday night's main event, of course, it kind of made all the sense, right? Saturday night's main event was in Montreal, and then now Royal Rumbles in Saudi Arabia, two places that, of course, Sami Zayn likes to call home and is a very special place for him. So it makes sense that they wanted to put the shine on him in Montreal, which they have done before, and now put him in a big match in Saudi Arabia. Okay, it's Drew McIntyre's first opponent, and it's a solid first opponent to put Drew McIntyre over, because that's what you want to do now that you put the title on him. This is not a short title reign. I absolutely love the fact that Cody Rhodes does not get a rematch unless he wins the Royal Rumble. I love that for Cody's story, but I love it for Drew's, because that means we're actually going to get a legitimate title reign out of Drew McIntyre that could go to WrestleMania. And again, Sami Zayn is constantly the guy that the company goes to put other people over, to make your champions look strong, because he is popular enough and has more than enough of a credible name to kind of be a credible opponent. But he's never been the option to be like, yes, he's going to be your world champion. He should win this match. He should not win this match. He will not win this match. Drew McIntyre will retain. Sami Zayn continues to be that guy that comes out and cuts these promos of how badly he needs to be a world champion, and he continues to fall short. A heel Sami Zayn has a better shot of winning a world title than babyface Sami Zayn ever does. Babyface Sami Zayn's awesome. U.S. title, IC title. He's fun. He's funny. Loved him in the bloodline. We know all that. But when it comes to being a world champion, heel Sami Zayn was closer to that. And I'm not convinced that heel Sami Zayn is a world champion. But between the two, heel Sami Zayn is a much more viable world champion option. So no, Sami Zayn won't win this match. But of the four competitors at Saturday night's main event, yeah, it made the most sense. I don't know that we want Randy Orton taking another loss. He's done that a lot lately. Trick Williams wasn't going to be pushed there, and Damian Priest would have been a repeat. So I'm okay with Sami Zayn being in this spot, but no, I don't expect him to win this match. The other big match at the Royal Rumble, non-title, is Gunther and AJ Styles. AJ Styles' career is on the line. Will Gunther retire AJ Styles after retiring John Cena? No. And I know Gunther has been dominant since retiring John Cena. They've done a phenomenal job, get it, of kind of teasing that, okay, maybe AJ Styles is on his way out, right? They've done a great job of making it feel like a quick farewell tour with AJ. Gave him his match with Shinsuke, with CM Punk, some dream matches, just in case this is the final Raw, the final time we'll see AJ Styles. They're both most likely pulling double duty. Gunther made it sound like he wanted to be in the Royal Rumble match. And it makes all the sense in the world to give AJ a big win on a big show against a guy like Gunther, roll up or not, whatever you want to call it. And of course, Gunther can get his payback in the Royal Rumble match later on and continue to look strong. Again, Brock Lesnar is in the Royal Rumble match, and I think you start to then, after Gunther attacks AJ in the Royal Rumble match or eliminates him or whatever it may be, you then put the focus on Brock and Gunther, and you can do whatever else you want to do with AJ when it comes to his retirement tour. There's absolutely no way that AJ Styles is retiring like this after saying that 2026 was his final year, and he's not even going to make it out of January, right? And also, this is not the main event. So Gunther would retire AJ Styles, and then we're just going to move on with the rest of the Royal Rumble. I don't see them doing that, right? So this isn't the way AJ Styles goes out, unless there's a contract situation. And guess what? I don't care about the behind the scenes, so that's not part of my prediction here. So if you were spoiled on something that, someone thinks they know that doesn't, whatever, fine. But based on what we see, there is no way AJ Styles retires from WWE this way. If anything, it's a great way to kind of give AJ a big win during his retirement tour without hurting Gunther, because Gunther has already defeated AJ. Of course, he's got the win over John Cena, and he gets pushed right into a WrestleMania feud with Brock Lesnar, which, of course, is a big deal. Shorter episode this month because, again, that dude, Daryl Taylor, out due to the winter weather. He'll be back in February ahead of the Elimination Chamber. Two more things I want to address real quick. Number one is the popularity of Kit Wilson, and it's more than just a theme song. I mean, I was a huge fan of Pretty Deadly with him and Elton Prince all together. So Kit Wilson, now that they're kind of going all in with the toxic masculinity and all that stuff, right? I mean, you saw the emotions. If you watch his interview with Chris Van Vliet talking about Elton Prince, he feels like a tag team guy. The one worry that people have is, what does this mean for Elton Prince, right? Again, if you listen to that interview, as soon as Elton Prince, if and when he's ever healthy to come back, they're going to want to be back in that tag team. Kit Wilson will do whatever it takes to get him back involved. But let's also remember that this is not far-fetched from who Pretty Deadly was. If anything, when Pretty Deadly can come back and Elton Prince can be involved, he will only add to this character of Kit Wilson, because this is, if anything, is just another layer of Pretty Deadly that could lead them to tag team gold. But until we get there, Kit Wilson is 1000% over, and he is as entertaining as ever. And you should see where this can go. Don't run him up to the U.S. title right away. You want to make sure that this is a legitimate, long-standing thing that is going to stay popular with the fans. But he's as popular and as over and entertaining as it gets, and he could easily be a guy that has gold in the near future. Don't rush to that. But when it comes to the worries of Elton Prince, there is no worry with that. This falls right into the Pretty Deadly angle. Everything going on with Kit Wilson, the toxic masculinity, which is not easy for me to say. So shout out to him for saying that on the week-to-week basis. But everything, that the theme song, everything is just Pretty Deadly times 10. So when Elton Prince comes back, it'll just fall right into Pretty Deadly's arms to kind of carry on with this. And it sounds like that's exactly what Kit Wilson would want. And the MFT, they are your tag team champions. They defeated the Wyatt Six on SmackDown last week. And of course, there's this thing when it comes to the Wyatt Six. Every time they lose, we react the same way as when Bray Wyatt would lose. It is not the same thing. Bray Wyatt was a main event guy, right? So it made sense that we were so upset that he would be in all these big feuds, these title matches, and be upset when he would fall short. Why is he falling short? He should be a world champion. He should stay at the top of the card. And you love everything they're doing to keep this faction together, to keep his name, of course, his family, legitimate family, and his wrestling family involved to honor him. But Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy and everybody involved in that faction, none of those guys are top guys. They're not going to win every match. They're not going to hog those tag titles and be at the top of the division forever. It's a little different than Bray Wyatt. So we should not have the same reaction to the Wyatt Six losing as we did when Bray Wyatt lost as much as he did, of course, a few years ago when he was in the world title picture. It's a much different situation. If anything, it is still very uplifting to see them around as much as they are, involved as much as they are. The fact that they had the gold, they weren't going to keep it forever, nor should they. And not every loss is as big of a deal as it was with Bray Wyatt. I know it's the Wyatt name, it's the Wyatt family, but it's different. And we should not put that type of pressure on these guys right now, because respectfully, they are not the top stars that Bray Wyatt once was, despite the name being there. So I have no issue with MFT and Solo Sikoa getting the gold. I'm a huge fan of Solo Sikoa. I think he's done a great job after leaving the bloodline and being a leader of his own crew, not to any crazy extent, but mid-card titles, the tag titles, that's a great way to keep them relevant. And I'm more than okay with Solo Sikoa and MFT taking those tag titles from the Wyatt Six. Royal Rumble is this Saturday. Watch it if you got the ESPN app, or if you're going to be like everyone else, get a VPN and watch it on Netflix like our international friends do, right? Roar Around the Ring is available all over on YouTube at Roar Around the Ring, on socials at JV Around the Ring. We'll be back in February ahead of the Elimination Chamber in Chicago. I'm Justin Valentine. We'll talk to you guys very soon.